dead truck in the middle of a grocery store parking lot. But within minutes, Judge Judy realized this wasn't really about a broken vehicle at all. It was about lies, manipulation, excuses, and one woman who got dragged into somebody else's financial disaster. And the moment the truth finally came out, the entire courtroom completely turned against the couple. Before we get into this unbelievable case, make sure to like the video and subscribe, because these courtroom stories only get crazier from here. It all began with three people standing in front of Judge Judy, two cousins, and one boyfriend. At first glance, it looked simple enough. A woman was suing to get her money back after paying nearly $650 to stop a truck from being repossessed. But Judge Judy immediately sensed something strange, because nobody in that courtroom could keep their story straight. The boyfriend, Mr. Petway, owned a 2008 Toyota Tundra. He proudly explained that he bought the truck only a few months earlier for around $12,000. He put down $2,000 up front and was making monthly payments of $440, at least. That's what he claimed. But then Judge Judy uncovered the first major red flag. The truck had been remotely disabled by the finance company. Not towed, not impounded, grappled, right there in the grocery store parking lot. The finance company had literally shut the truck off remotely because of non-payment. And even Judge Judy looked impressed for a second. She joked about how smart that system was while the courtroom laughed. But underneath the humor was a much bigger issue. If a finance company is willing to remotely disable your vehicle after only a couple months, things are already very bad. That's when the plaintiff explained why she got involved. She said her cousin had called her from the parking lot because the truck wouldn't start and they needed help. When she arrived, she noticed something even worse. A black tow truck sitting nearby waiting. The repo company was already there, just waiting for them to walk away from the truck so they could take it. And suddenly, the pressure skyrocketed because every minute that passed meant more fees, more penalties, and eventually losing the truck entirely. The plaintiff said she had known these people her entire life. She trusted them, and after hearing that the boyfriend was supposedly getting paid soon and that another check was on the way, she agreed to help them temporarily. That was the key word, temporarily. She believed she was giving them a short-term loan until their money arrived. But the deeper Judge Judy dug into the story, the messier everything became. Mr. Petway claimed he wasn't actually behind on payments. According to him, this was all just some giant misunderstanding with the finance company. He insisted he had made his monthly payments and that the problem involved some mysterious second down payment he supposedly never knew existed. But Judge Judy wasn't buying the innocent act, because here's what made the story even crazier. Only 1 month after all of this happened, he gave the truck back anyway, just surrendered it, which immediately destroyed whatever credibility he had left. Judge Judy practically exploded. As far as she was concerned, if you buy a truck, put down $2,000, make payments for a few months, then lose the vehicle almost immediately, you are not responsible, and the courtroom could feel her patience disappearing by the second. But the real tension started when Judge Judy focused on the conversation inside that parking lot, because suddenly, everyone's story started changing. The plaintiff explained that while sitting in the car, the cousin told her they were waiting on a check from work and some money involving stocks. She claimed the boyfriend was also about to get paid. That's why she felt comfortable stepping in to help. But when Judge Judy turned toward the cousin, everything shifted. The cousin suddenly claimed she never actually spoke to the boyfriend. Then she said she tried calling him, but he didn't answer. Then she claimed she didn't even know the truck had been disabled because of missed payments. And that's when Judge Judy started dismantling her story piece by piece, slowly, methodically, like a prosecutor cornering a witness. Judge Judy asked one devastating question after another. How did you know there was a problem with the finance company? How did the payment get made? Who called the lender? Who spoke to them? And with every answer, the contradictions piled up. At one point, the cousin accidentally admitted that she personally called the finance company herself. And just like that, the entire story collapsed, because now she had confirmed she knew exactly what was happening. She knew the boyfriend was delinquent. She knew repossession was coming. And she still convinced the plaintiff to hand over the money. That's when Judge Judy slammed her hand on the desk. The courtroom went dead silent. You could almost feel the embarrassment spreading across the room. The cousin tried to backpedal instantly, claiming she even told the plaintiff to leave it alone. But the damage was already done. Judge Judy had seen this type of manipulation before. People making emotional promises when they're desperate. People borrowing money they already know they can't repay. People dragging family members into financial disasters, hoping sympathy will fix everything. And perhaps the most revealing part of the entire case wasn't even the money. It was the body language. Every time Judge Judy asked a direct question, the cousin kept looking sideways toward the boyfriend before answering. And Judge Judy noticed immediately. Several times, she snapped at her not to look over there, not to make things up as she goes, not to rehearse answers in real time. That psychological pressure completely changed the atmosphere in the courtroom, because suddenly, this didn't feel like confusion anymore. It felt coordinated, like two people desperately trying to survive a story that was falling apart under pressure. Meanwhile, the plaintiff sat there realizing something painful. She had tried to help people she trusted, and instead, she got pulled into someone else's financial chaos. $646 may not sound life-changing to some people. But in situations like this, it represents something much bigger: trust. And once trust is broken, every excuse sounds hollow. Judge Judy finally reached her conclusion, and she didn't hesitate. She said she believed the plaintiff completely. She believed the cousin had promised repayment once the checks arrived, because otherwise, why would an unemployed woman suddenly hand over hundreds of dollars to save someone else's truck? It made no sense, especially when the boyfriend had already proven himself irresponsible by losing the vehicle only weeks later. Then came the final blow. Judge Judy looked directly at the defendants and essentially called the entire situation what it was: irresponsibility, plain and simple. And within seconds, the verdict was delivered: judgment for the plaintiff, $646. Case closed. But honestly, the money wasn't even the biggest loss here. The real damage was the relationships. Because after a public courtroom humiliation like this, family trust rarely recovers. And that's what makes these cases so fascinating. They're never really about the dollar amount. They're about desperation, excuses, broken promises, and the exact moment someone realizes they've been manipulated by people they trusted the most. If you enjoyed this courtroom breakdown, make sure to comment your thoughts below. Do you think the cousin intentionally manipulated the situation? Or was she just stuck in the middle of her boyfriend's financial disaster? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch the next courtroom story, because the next case gets even more unbelievable.